G'day and welcome back to the House Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you always listening or watching and giving us your time. Today we're going to get into some predicted squads. You might be picking up on what I'm putting down because it's almost Origin time. So I'm going to give you my New South Wales Blues 1 to 19, give you that full squad, and then I'm going to give you my predicted Queensland spine. I'm not going to give you the full squad. A lot of question marks up in the air about the availability, particularly in the forward pack for the Maroons. Also, who cares? Two-headed cockroaches. So we're going to talk about New South Wales mostly because, probably 3-0, baby. Probably 3-0. So that's going to open up the show. And then we'll get into a bit of a preview for round 11 starting Friday night. You got the female Origin game 2 Thursday, so round 11 starts Friday. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. I'll give you my 1 to 19 New South Wales Blues. Obviously, Laurie Daly steps back into the role. First series back as the head coach. Very, very interesting to see what he's got to do. He's got a lot of options, particularly in the back line. What's he going to do? I'm excited to see. But if I was the coach, if I was Laurie Daly, this is the New South Wales Blues squad side that I would pick. Started off, fullback, Tedesco. Obviously, you've got three main runners there. You've got Tedesco, Pappenhausen, and Edwards. Edwards played last year for the last two, won the series. Edwards has been down on form. Honestly, he's been down on form, and I've said it before. I'll say it again. There are other options at fullback with just more, with a broader skill set than Edwards has. Tedesco, Pappenhausen, Trbojevic, Mitchell, they're all better fullbacks because they're more dynamic. Obviously, Edwards brings the, he's just always there. He's a great support player. He's fit as all fuck. He's probably the fittest player, one of the fittest players in the league. He's going to rack up a whole lot of run meters. But when you're on the biggest stage, and yes, he has played well for the Blues. Not saying that. There is the argument to say, pick what works. They won the series, pick what works. But my rebuttal to that is Tedesco's won some series. Tedesco played fucking lights out in game 1 last year when Edwards got injured and Tedesco came in. I would absolutely pick Tedesco. He's had some brilliant games this season. And he's going to step up for the Blues. And any run meters that Edwards can rack up, Tedesco can do that and more. So fullback Tedesco. On the wings, I've got Brian Toto. Hasn't played a lot of football this year, but he's a gun player. He's a strong finisher, and he's going to also give you those run meters. In the centers, Stephen Crichton, Latrell Mitchell. Latrell Mitchell, big moment player. When there's a time to step up and you need a big, strong, skillful player, Latrell Mitchell is that player. So he's gonna sit in one center spot and the other center spot, undeniable. That's what you have to be if you want to get picked in a side, especially in a position where there's a lot of players opting for that spot. But Stephen Crichton has just been undeniable. Everyone talks about how great of a leader he is, and he absolutely is. Developed that in Penrith, and now he's showcasing every inch of that ability for Canterbury. But man, has he had some games in recent weeks where he's just shown how bloody skillful he is. How skillful and how he is willing to step up when his team really needs him. Against the Raiders the other weekend, oh my goodness, down 20-0? Needed a player to step up. And who was first cab on the rank? Stephen Crichton. Stepped up, big plays, scored some tries, set up some tries. Inspired his team, and you've seen him have some really good moments in Origin before, and he's been undeniable. He gets the second center position. On the other wing, I've gone Tom Trbojevic. He's played really good football for the Blues in the centers. He hasn't played a ton of football. Everyone is obviously, and rightfully so, a little bit wary about his fitness and his health. Rightfully so. But when he's fit, he's an absolute gun. He is one of the best in the league, in the world, when he is fit and healthy and ready to go. And I cannot leave him out of this side, particularly with Lomax missing some football, only coming back this week with one game before the teams get picked. I'm putting Trbojevic on the wing. And, Laurie Daly is going to use him in that secondary fullback, secondary 5'8" role like he has been used in the past. So even though he's going to be on the wing, he's going to see a lot of football, which is going to be great for the Blues. In the halves, probably the most talked about positions for the New South Wales side with who's going to be there, what type of combination. Are we talking past? Are we talking current form? I've gone with Moses in the 6, Cleary in the 7. Can't leave Cleary out. He's the best playmaker in the league. Could potentially go down as one of the best ever. Moses has been in form. You've seen how much Parramatta look, how much better they look since he's been back. You cannot deny that. Parramatta look like a completely different team. They're actually competitive now that Moses is back. Obviously, you've got 2 halfbacks there, but like Cooper Cronk said about Queensland, sometimes it's not about players. It's more about the jersey means more. So what I've done is I've gone with who's just playing better football at the moment. We'll figure out the combination once we get into camp. Cleary's your better playmaker. He's going to be your chief runner. He's the chief playmaker. He's also going to be my captain for this side. Cleary's the captain. Moses is a better runner of the football as well. Now, Cleary is very dangerous when he decides to run the football because you never quite know. He's that skilled at managing a game, at setting up stuff for other players, that when he runs the football, he's dangerous. But Moses is a better runner of the football. So I'm putting him at 6, and he's just going to have free reign to kind of just play what he sees in front of him. Cleary will manage. He will be the ship steerer, but Moses is just going to have full clearance to go see what you see and go for it. So they're my halves. Debate it all you like, they're my halves. Robson in the 9, played quite well. Has been a bit quiet this year, but I believe he's good enough to be there, and he's a great defender as well, like we need. Front row. Not a lot of debate, but we're going to go with what has worked in the past, and these 2 have stepped up this year, rightfully so. Payne Haas, Mitch Barnett. 2 tough buggers, and when the Broncos versus the Warriors, Mitch Barnett absolutely stepped up and said, I'm going to fucking take it to you. I'm going to show why I should be a starting front rower for the Blues. Second row, Liam Martin, one edge, Angus Crichton on the other. There are 2 others opting for those spots, Olakau'atu and Hudson Young. But Martin and Crichton are big game players, and they've got plenty of origin experience. In that arena, experience does matter. So those 2, especially with Liam Martin, you're going to get everything from him. Angus Crichton can be exceptionally skilled with the offload. He'll break open the game, especially with the connection that he has with Tedesco at the back. And Martin is just an absolute bull. He's going to charge at anyone who runs in front of him, and he's going to charge at anyone who's trying to tackle him. So those are my 2 back rows. Jake Trbojevic in the 13. Yes, he's been down on form, but he is the absolute spirit of this team. He embodies what it means to be truly, truly sacred with that jersey. The Blues jersey belongs on his back. He's at the 13, and he's my vice captain as well. 14, Connor Watson. Proved himself last year. Can fill in a number of roles. Very energetic. Brings a bit of a presence with him. He as soon as he gets on the field, he'll speak up. He'll say, all right, we're doing this. Or, all right, tell me what we're doing. I'm going to lead you to where you need to go. I like him at 14. 15, Olakau'atu. Just a fucking machine. The bloke will bowl over anybody who tries to be in front of him and can do it with ease, and then he'll throw an offload out the back of it. Just a bull. He's been around the camp before. I'm giving him my 15 jersey. 16, Spencer Leniu. Get another front rower, full of energy, full of ferociousness, got that mongrel in him. So when he gets on the field, he's absolutely ready to go. And that's what you need in the Origin arena. And at 17, Isaiah Yeo. You can make the argument Isaiah Yeo needs to start, but, and I take this from Matty Johns, when Penrith have had some issues this season, it seems to be coming from they're just trying to go too far sideways before they actually punch it up the middle and earn the right to go to their backlines. And a lot of that comes from Isaiah Yeo just getting slightly predictable with throwing it out the back to Cleary or to, excuse my amnesic brain for a second, to Alangi. Sometimes they just, as soon as Isaiah Yeo gets the ball, it's going out the back, and then they're just working side to side. And I take that from Matty Jones, and it's a very good observation from Matty. So I'm putting him on the bench. Jake's gonna start, and he's gonna get that forward punch. He's gonna work with Payne Haas. He's gonna work with Robson. He's gonna work with Barnett, and he's just gonna punch it up the middle. And then when it's time to go out the back, we hit it out to Moses. We hit it out to Clear. We hit it out to Tedesco. We don't want to go too far sideways before we earn the right punching it up the middle, especially against the Maroons. Winning the middle of the field, winning the ruck is so important in Origin. And when we've got Haas, he can dominate the middle of the field. Let's not go side to side. I know it's tempting. It's tempting. Tedesco, Crichton, Latrell, Trebojevic. It's very tempting to just give them early ball and see what they can do. But we have to punch it in the middle first. We have to win that just dirty, gritty battle in the middle and earn the right to then spread it out to our skill players and let them do their thing. So 18th man, Terrell May. He has had a blinder of a season. Absolutely stepped up going to the Tigers this year. But he might not quite ready. He might sink inside of his shell a little bit. And maybe he wouldn't. But maybe it kind of seems like he might go back into his shell a little bit in such a big arena against just brute Maroons. Maybe he wouldn't, but, maybe he would, being quite a young player. I mean, we're the same age. So I'll get him at 18th man, get him around the camp, get him in the environment, and let him kind of know what it's all about before potentially playing him some game this series or next year. And the 19th man, Hudson Young. He's been unreal this year. He's been unreal, and if you put him in the side, no one would have a problem with it. I just think he's kind of unlucky that there's so many other very well back rowers gunning for the spots. And I just think Martin and Crichton have better game experience in a winning side for the Blues, and Ola Kawatu's he's just been dominant for so long that he's earned his spot. So that's my 1 to 19. These are the players for the most part, and then it's kind of everyone else will just put them in a different position. Obviously, some will have Edwards, some will have Luai, some might have Coruscant, some might have Hudson Young in there starting, but I mean, whichever direction you go, New South Wales are probably favourites, and rightfully so. We've probably got the better of the talent in Australia right now for New South Wales, which is a good swing considering how dominant Queensland have been in the past. And, hopefully we can just go back to back. 3-0. Why not 3-0? All right, Queensland spine. Like I said, not going to give you the full squad. Don't care. Who cares? We're going to thrash them anyway. Who fucking cares? But I'll give you this spine because that's probably the most interesting, and that's probably where Queensland will either find success and make it interesting or just fall apart completely. Fullback, Kalen Ponga. Been up and down with form. Started off the season really well, but he's just so skillful, so dynamic. You just can't leave him out because he is that good, and you've seen it in spurts when he's got a Maroons jersey on his back already. So Ponga at fullback, 6 Munster. That's pretty self-explanatory. 7 DCE experience. He's still got it. A lot of talk around him this year. Where's he going next year? His age, but he's still a great halfback, and he's still a great leader who, with a lot of young players probably coming into the side, they need DCE at 7. At the 9, I've gone Harry Grant with an asterisk around his name because I'm not sure if he's going to be healthy. but we'll assume he's going to be there for now. And then I'll throw in the 14 as part of the spine. And Tom Dearden, you need to get him in this team somewhere. Now, obviously, he's not going to be in a star and halves role based on who else I've got here, but you have to have him in the side. He's now, it might be a little bit on the nose because they both play for the Cowboys, but he reminds me so much of Jonathan Thurston. Great half player, obviously, and I'm not comparing him. Jonathan Thurston is one of the greats. Position-wise, sure, but just in terms of overall players that have played the game, he is one of the best ever. You know, I'm not trying to say that Dearden is of that caliber. Not now, roughly, right now. But one of the biggest parts of Jonathan Thurston's game and why he was so good and won so much was because he was the ultimate competitor. He was competing on every play. Forget anyone else on those Cowboys side. The best chaser to his kicks was Jonathan Thurston. He was numerous times, it was him at the front of the line chasing his own kick. Or if someone else kicked, Michael Morgan, Lachlan Coote, whoever else kicked the ball, he was rushing down there ready to make a tackle and try and pin the opposition as far back in their own field as possible. He is the ultimate competitor, and Tom Dearden reminds me of him in that regard. Tom Dearden absolutely gives it everything. He's chasing. He's chasing from marker. He's chasing kicks. He's a bloody good defender for a half. He is just an absolute goer. And you need that in Origin. You need someone who's going to give their everything, just going to give every ounce of energy for the team. Tom Dearden's my 14. You have to put him in the side somewhere. So there you go. Predicted Origin sides. Queensland 3-0. Oh, fuck. Sorry, I was looking at the Queensland word here. New South Wales 3-0. That's what I meant to say. Fuck, I hope that's not an omen. Anyway, should be a great series. This will be the final game in round 11 before the sides are picked early next week. I'm pretty certain on that. But I can't wait. I can't wait to see in which direction Laurie Daly decides to go. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. All right, let's get into round 11. Now, there's a lot of good matchups in terms of quite even level competition in terms of the matchups. But I've picked out three games that have stood out to me, and I think they're probably most likely going to be games of the round. First up, you got the Bulldogs versus the Roosters. Obviously, this depends on what type of game these two decide to play. Now, the Bulldogs were very dominant at the start of the season, but since about round 7 or 8, they're fluctuating a little bit. They're kind of returning back to the norm. Obviously they got 20 points put on in the first half by the Raiders, and they did come back and win, but 20 points in one half for a team that's supposed to be the defensive kings of the league, it's not good. And then the Broncos, what was that, 38-0? Something like that, 32-8, something like that. Broncos absolutely smashed them. So we're not quite sure on the type of Bulldogs we're going to get half to half, really. Forget about game to game, half to half. But I think them up against the Roosters, this is like battle of 2002, 2004, Bulldogs Roosters, and it's pretty exciting, particularly if you get a strong Roosters side that decides to turn up and play like they did against the Dragons on Anzac Day. If you get that type of Roosters, it's kind of going to be like a battle of really good defense versus really good attack. If both these teams are on their game, what is it, a Friday night game? I think it's a Friday night game, the 8 o'clock game. If you get them two ready to go, it's going to be an absolute good clash. and I'm excited. Top defense gets one of the better attacks in the league. That's going to be a really good battle. Next up, Sharks versus Storm. This is going to be a game, and these teams do have some history. 2016 Grand Final. Sharks win, baby. Sharks win, baby. Sharks Storm are the Sharks true contenders, and this is going to be the test. Now, last week was the test for the Tigers. Are they really an improved team? Are they a team that's on the up and actually gunning for the 8? And they fell flat on their fucking faces. They just didn't show up for that game. And the Storm put 64 points on them. And not only did the Storm put 64 points on them, the Storm didn't let the Tigers score a single point, which is equally as impressive. So now the Sharks go down to Melbourne, and this is their test. Are the Storm true premiership contenders? Are the Sharks? Sorry. This is the test, because Sharks have been, thereabouts. We're not quite sure. They're there. You're pretty confident they're going to make the 8, but are they a top 4 team? If Nico's playing well, then yes, but, Nico can be quiet. Nico can kind of hide sometimes behind Trindle. William Kennedy's been playing some great football. This is a true test for the Storm, for the Sharks. And I think if they can pass this test, it gives them a lot of confidence for the rest of the season about making the top 4. And in my New South Wales team, I don't have a single Sharks player. So that's not a knock on the Sharks. That's actually more confidence to go, all right, during this origin period where the Storm, the Cowboys, the Broncos, the Panthers, they're going to have a lot of players out. This is our chance to really stack up the wins, and come the end of the season, we've got so much momentum. We can ride that out, and we're going to finish top 4, baby. Top 4 finish. So if the Sharks can get through this test against Melbourne, this could set up the rest of their season. And I'm not trying to put too much of an importance on this game, but it really could set the Sharks up for the rest of the season should they pass this test, beat Melbourne, or at least make it really, really close and really, really competitive, and show the Storm that they're fucking here to play, and you're not going to be as dominant as you were last week against us. In the Sharks, that's kind of been their identity since they entered the league, is they'll make it gritty, they'll make it dirty, they'll make it ugly, and they'll make you play at their level. Even if the Sharks aren't playing really well on attack, they could bring their opposition down, force the errors, make it ugly, make it dirty, make it scrappy, and that's given them some success in the past. So it's a true test for the Sharks, and one that they can win. So I think that's a great game. And last of all, Tigers Rabbitohs. A lot of players pushing for origin positions. Terrell Mays, Luai, Coruscant, Latrell. Probably Campbell Graham thinks he's a chance. There are a lot of players that are trying to put in that last big performance. And the Tigers, they need to bounce back. Can the Tigers bounce back and show that they actually are an improved team this season? And that's going to come down to, is Luai going to step up and take control? Terrell Mays, he's going to maintain the leadership that he's brought over to the West Tigers and step up and say, all right, fellas, fuck last week. We'll learn from it, but fuck, we are not going through that again. Not in back-to-back weeks, because Rabbitohs can put the points on if they're singing. Obviously, like Tigers, Rabbitohs, it's kind of whatever. If you're not a fan of either of those franchises, it's kind of whatever. It's not a game that you probably would particularly seek to watch, but based on what's happened, based on what's coming up, it could be a really good clash if both teams decide to step up and go for it for a W. So those are the 3 in the upcoming round that I think probably the most entertaining, probably got the most riding, on them. So if you're only gonna watch 3 games this round, Dogs, Roosters, Sharks, Storm, Tigers, Rabbitohs are the ones that I would be sitting in front of the telly for, cracking open a beer or whatever your beverage of choice is, and watching those full 80 minutes, because I think that's going to be involving some high-level rugby league with some consequences coming out of the round. Very interesting. You got to love some rugby league. You absolutely got to love it. There's always something going on. There's always something to look forward to. There's always something that's very entertaining. And football's just football. You love some football. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Not a very long episode today, but that's going to wrap it up. We'll get this episode out as soon as possible. Give it a listen. Give it a watch. And come up with your own predicted origin sides and see how close you can get to the actual thing picked by Laurie Daly. So that's going to do it. Until next week. See you later.